In this video, we're going to talk not just about communication and warmth, although those are important to some of the ideas we're going to talk about here. We're also going to be talking about limit setting and how that may play out in terms of different kinds of parenting and child outcomes. So, some families, this is Diana Baumrind's work, some families are authoritarian in orientation. They're highly controlling and low warmth. So they value conformity and obedience. They strictly, tightly monitor children and express little warmth. Neglectful parents are indifferent, uninvolved, and sometimes overtly neglectful. They don't respond, to the child's needs and make few demands on them. Contrast that with permissive parents, where the children run the show and anything goes. Parents make few demands, rarely punish, and generally act as the friend rather than the parent. And this might be something that Jeanette McCurdy describes. On the other hand, there are some parents who are high control, high warmth. They make reasonable demands, give consistent limits. They're warm, affectionate, and listen to their children. Diana Baumrind describes several kinds of outcomes. She says authoritative parenting is generally related to the best outcomes in the US. These children are self-controlled, self-motivated, confident, and trusting. Authoritarian parents are related to anxious, withdrawn, unhappy children, at least in many US samples. On the other hand, it can be just as effective as authoritative parenting for Chinese American families and in dangerous settings such as war, where it can keep children safe. Permissive families, children tend to lack self-discipline. There's poor grades, risky behaviors, in part because they've learned it doesn't really matter, right? Mom and dad, their caregivers are sort of saying it doesn't matter what you do, as opposed to authoritative and authoritarian parents. And in neglectful families, the children tend to be withdrawn, fearful, and anxious, and perform poorly in school, are at risk of substance abuse. They also learn, I don't matter. And they don't know what they can do to engage the adults in their lives. And one of the things that we seem to learn is if the people in our lives love us and see worth in us, we're more likely to experience the same in ourselves. So what do children need? They need warmth, consistency, limits, communication, authoritative parenting. Now, Catherine Taylor says or describes in her research that children who were spanked frequently at age 3 were more likely to be aggressive at age 5, even when various kinds of confounds to the research, parental stress, depression, drug and alcohol use, family support are considered. And even small amounts of spanking seem to make a difference. We can go so far, or some countries, 53 countries in the world, ban corporal punishment, ban spanking. Obviously, that's, that includes many, but not by any means, all, or even all large countries. So instead of spanking, what can we do instead? Good discipline is brief, calm, consistent, clear rules, things like timeout, like saying, you know, the rule is you can't get up from the table until you finish your peas, and, delivered calmly. And our goal is to say this at age 3 and to begin that process, um, because it's much harder to do it at age 13 or at age 23. So, remembering what we learned from Carl Rogers, from Gottman, um, love and acceptance matter, and they lead to all sorts of positive outcomes: trust of self, others, and the world, independence, and self control. And we can see that in the secure attachment style that Philip Shaver described in terms of attachments as adults. Parental rejection is related to negative outcomes, including slowed intellectual growth, problems with self-image and self-esteem, aggression, loneliness, fear and anxiety, and guilt and depression. We want authoritative parenting that seems to be related to all sorts of positive outcomes here. Parental rejection coupled with neglect or physical punishment. So, more what we're seeing in, well, obviously we're into the ACEs here. We're seeing a whole slew of problems, early sexual behavior, depression and suicide, fighting, aggression, delinquency, social problems, drug abuse. And with that, think about, go back and think about what you want in your parenting and how you can get there. I'll see you on or in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.